Greetings Earthlings and welcome back to Podcastage. Yes, I'm recording in my bathroom, that's because I can. But if I turn around and walk in here, now I am in my studio because today I am reviewing the Shure MoveMic. Full disclosure, this is on loan from Shure. If you do want to check it out, I'll throw some links in the description down below. All of my recording settings will be listed down there as well as in the doobly-doo. And now let's talk about what comes in the box. With the MoveMic 2 receiver kit, you're going to get this neoprene storage roll. You'll get the MoveMic receiver, the MoveMic charging case, 2 MoveMic transmitters, 2 USB-C to USB-C cables, 2 clip-on windscreens, a 3.5mm to 3.5mm TRS cable, and some documentation. Then as far as the build quality, everything feels pretty well put together. The charging case is made out of plastic, and on the front you'll find the USB-C port to charge it. You'll find lights to indicate the charging status of each microphone as well as the case. Inside you have slots for both microphones, and it does allow you to keep the windscreens on while they're charging, and it also has a cheat sheet on what the lights mean. The microphones are also plastic and very simple. You have 2 LED lights to indicate the muting status and the connection status. You have a power button which also functions as a mute button, and on the back you have a clip as well as the connection ports for the charging case. And lastly, the receiver is also plastic. At the top, you have an indicator light to let you know if any of the microphones are connected. You get this really nice and bright screen. You have navigation controls and a button as well as a joystick. On the side, you have a USB-C port to connect this to your device as well as charge it. You have a 3.5mm output, which outputs line level or microphone level. You have a 3.5mm headphone jack for monitoring. You have a power button on the other side. And if you care, all of these devices are made in China. I'm not going to read all of the specs to you because there are so many, but I will have some up on screen, but I'll also have a link to Shure's website in the description because there are so many specs for these devices. Now I'm spinning around the MoveMic so we can see if there was any kind of significant change to the tone as we move around the capsule. Being that this is an omnidirectional pattern, we shouldn't notice any significant change in the tone, but just for due diligence, there you go. Now let's see how this mic handles plosives when it's placed in a very common position about 7 inches below my mouth in the center of my chest. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please provide pizza pronto. You're likely not getting anything, but if you breathe out of your nose, can you hit it? Maybe. Now let's see how this microphone sounds in a couple of common Lav Mic positions. Currently, it's about 7 inches below my mouth in the center of my chest, and here is how it's sounding. Now the MoveMic is clipped directly to the collar of my shirt, directly below my chin. This is one of the most common positions that I see being used. This is likely going to sound very muddy because this has what is called a chin shadow, but here is how it sounds in this position. Now I've placed the MoveMic off to the side of my chin on the lapel of my hoodie. This should hopefully avoid a bit of the chin shadow and bring back a little bit more of that higher end information, but here's how it sounds in this position a couple inches away from my mouth. Now I have the MoveMic in one of my favorite positions, clipped to the bill of my cap. It may look silly, but this gives the microphone a direct line of sight to my mouth, so it captures a lot more detail and high-end information. So here is how it sounds in this position. And now, just to annoy sound speeds, I am demoing what I like to call the TikTok position, where I am hand-holding the Lav Mic a few inches from my mouth directly in front of it. It's going to give us the most detail and sound the brightest and most like a studio microphone, but this really isn't the best use of a Lav, but there you go, that is the TikTok position. Now I'm typing on a keyboard with Gateron Blue switches with the MoveMic clipped to the collar of my shirt, and here is how much of that noise it picks up. And now out of curiosity, I've turned on the noise reduction effect, and I'll type on the keyboard again, and here is how much of that noise it can reject. Now here's how the Shure MoveMic sounds about 7 inches below my mouth in the center of my chest in a relatively well-treated room. And now here's how the MoveMic sounds in the exact same position, but now we're recording in a completely untreated space. Now I want to see if the provided foam windscreen has any kind of impact on the tone of the recording. So currently the MoveMic is being recorded without the provided clip-on windscreen, and here's how it's sounding. And now I've installed the provided foam windscreen. The mic is in the exact same position, and here's how it sounds. Do you hear any kind of difference, or does it sound identical? And again, here is a sample of the MoveMic without the provided windscreen, and here's how it sounds. And for good measure, here is the second sample of the MoveMic with the provided clip-on windscreen. Now let's see how the mute function is integrated into this microphone, so I will keep talking as I hit the mute button. Now I am unmuted. Pay attention to the light. And now I am unmuted. That is how it's integrated. When the microphone is muted, there's a little red light on the transmitter. Here's a little bit more of a real-world situation where you may want to implement a fully wireless lav system. What you're hearing right now are the internal microphones on my Canon 90D set up about 6 feet away from me, so it's going to sound very distant, very reverberant, and if there was any background noise going on, it would be very difficult to hear me. Now I've switched over to the MoveMic, which is clipped directly to my chest, 7 inches below my mouth. The receiver is camera top, running line level over 3.5 mil into the mic input of the Canon 90D, and this is the sound that we're getting. It should sound significantly better, more direct, and less roomy. Now I want to see if there's any kind of difference in sound quality when we capture the MoveMic using the receiver versus when we capture the MoveMic directly over Bluetooth to the phone. So currently what you're listening to is the MoveMic connected to the receiver, then running over USB to my iPhone. We're capturing 16-bit 48 kilohertz. All of the processing is disengaged, no EQ, compressor, high-pass filter, or noise reduction, and here is how it's sounding. And here is how the MoveMic sounds when it's connected directly to my iPhone over Bluetooth. I do believe this is limited to 16-bit 48 kilohertz. All of the processing is disengaged, no EQ, no compressor, no noise reduction, just flat, same gain setting, and here is how it sounds. And just for comparison's sake, here is another sample of the MoveMic connected to the receiver and then being captured on my iPhone in 16-bit 48 kilohertz. And here is another example of the Shure MoveMic connected to my iPhone over Bluetooth. Is there any difference, or does it sound the exact same? Now we're going to do a whole bunch of comparisons, and we're going to start by comparing all of the fully wireless lav systems that I have. Starting on the Shure MoveMic, it is about 7 inches below my mouth in the center of the chest. The receiver is connected to my computer, recording 24-bit 48 kilohertz. No processing is turned on, and here is how it sounds. First up, we have the Deity Pocket Wireless. The transmitter is in the exact same location. The receiver is still connected to the computer, recording 24-bit 48 kilohertz. This is a relatively affordable wireless system. I believe it's between $100 and $200, and here is how Deity's more affordable offering sounds compared to the MoveMic. Back again on the Shure MoveMic for a palette cleanser. Here is how it sounds. Nothing has changed. Check the lower third. Let's go to the next mic. Next up, I'm on the DJI Mic One, which is the older generation of this system, but I don't have the DJI Mic 2, so I can't compare it. The transmitter is in the exact same location. The receiver, again, is connected to the computer. This is recording 16-bit 48 kilohertz because that's as high as it can go, but here is how the DJI sounds compared to the Shure. Here I am back on the Shure MoveMic for another palette cleanser. Here is how it is sounding. That should be enough talking to clear out your ear holes. Let's jump to the last fully wireless lav system. And finally, I'm on the Rode Wireless Go 2, which again is not the latest iteration of this device, but I don't have the Pro. The transmitter is in the exact same location, receiver connected over USB, and again, we're back up to 24-bit 48 kilohertz. And here is how Rode's offering sounds like, or here is what Rode's offering sounds like compared to the MoveMic. Now let's do a whole bunch more comparisons, but instead of wireless systems, we're going to be comparing wired lavs to the MoveMic. Starting on the Shure MoveMic, it's about 7 inches below my mouth in the center of my chest. No processing is engaged. I am on the flat mode, recording 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. Let's get into the comparisons. The first wired lav is the Sony ECM LV1. It is a stereo lav, but you're only hearing mono. I am running this through the Rode VXLR Plus into the Focusrite 18i 22nd Gen. Gain is set at about 4 o'clock, and here is how it sounds. Back for a palette cleanser on the Shure MoveMic. Nothing has changed. Here is how it sounds. Let's hear the next lav. Next up, I'm on the Rode Lavalier Go, which is relatively affordable. The mic is in the exact same position, still running through the VXLR Plus with my gain at 4 o'clock. Check the lower third, and let's hear some more mics. Here is another palette cleanser on the Shure MoveMic. What a big surprise, nothing has changed. That should be enough talking. Let's go ahead and hear some more lavs. Next up, I'm on the Shure MVL, which is their consumer-focused lav for use with smartphones. I'm running this through a Rode adapter, then into the VXLR Plus. Gain is still set at 4 o'clock, recording 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. And here is how this microphone sounds compared to the MoveMic. Hey, this is what I sound like on the Shure MoveMic, but of course you already knew that. That is the palette cleanser. Let's hear the next one. Next up, I'm on the Rode Lavalier 2, which is Rode's latest lav release. The microphone is in the exact same position. What a shocker. I am running through the VXLR Plus. My gain is still set at 4 o'clock. Make sure to check the lower third to see how much I boost each of these in post. And let's do a bunch more comparisons. This is the midpoint palette cleanser, I believe, so here is the Shure MoveMic. Check the lower third, I suppose, and let's go to the mid mic. Now I'm on the Sennheiser ME2, which is a relatively affordable lav from Sennheiser. This is omnidirectional. The microphone is in the exact same position through the VXLR Plus. Gain is still at 4 o'clock. That should be enough talking for you to hear it. Let's go back to the MoveMic and do some more. We're over the hump, so you could say this is the post-hump palette cleanser. This is the Shure MoveMic. That sounds weird. Let's hear another lav. Now we're jumping up in price quite a bit because I am on the Sanken Cos 11D, which is less of a consumer-focused lav, and now we're getting more to the professional tier of lavs. The mic is in the exact same position, still running through the VXLR Plus. My gain is still at 4 o'clock, and here is how this sounds compared to the wireless MoveMic. We're getting very near the end, so here is the Shure MoveMic. Nothing has changed. You should know that. Let's go to the next mic. Now I'm on the Countryman B6, which is another higher end, more professional tier lav mic. This thing is so incredibly small, it is mind-boggling, but the mic is in the exact same position through the VXLR Plus, gain still at 4 o'clock, and that is the B6. That is how it sounds. That's enough talking. Let's hear some more. We have 2 more microphones to go, so this is the penultimate palette cleanser on the Shure MoveMic. That's enough talking. Second to last mic. Now I'm on the Shure TL48, which is one of Shure's higher end lav mics. It's in the exact same position, but this mic terminates into a TA4F connector, so I am connecting this using a TA4F to XLR adapter. Gain is still set at 4 o'clock, 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. This is how Shure's higher end lav sounds. Let's go back and do one more comparison, I think. And we have one final microphone to go. You can guess what it's going to be. So this is your final palette cleanser. Let's jump to the last microphone, right? Now I'm on the Neumann. Hello, Neumann U87 AI. The microphone is in the exact same position on the omnidirectional pattern, connected directly to the 18i20. Gain is set at about 1 o'clock, and here is how it's sounding. But goofs aside, here is how the 87 sounds on the cardioid polar pattern, 6 inches from my mouth. Gain set at 1230-ish. This is meant to be a control, by the way. That's why this is in a video about lavs. Otherwise, this doesn't make sense. It may still not. Let's move on. Here's the home screen on the MoveMic receiver. It's going to give you the battery life of the receiver and each of the lavs if they're connected. It will show you the connection strength to the lavs. It gives you the name of the lavs if you've renamed them. It will also show you the gain that you're applying to each of the transmitters, and it gives you this very useful meter to let you know what kind of level you're actually receiving. And it does go to sleep sometimes. To get into all of our settings, we're going to click this directional pad on the right. This gives us a bunch of options. We can look at our devices. It allows us to adjust the settings for each of the lavs. It allows us to adjust output settings, monitoring settings, display settings, factory reset, about, and high power. If we go into My Devices, this just allows us to forget or rename each of the lavs that are connected in case you want to have different names to identify them. To go back, we'll hit the left X button, and that takes us back to the prior menu. Then we'll scroll down to Channel 2, which is the lav right here. This allows us to adjust the settings and effects for that transmitter. First, we can adjust the gain for that transmitter to get the proper level. When we're done, we'll hit the X button to go back. We'll skip audio effects for a second. Then we'll scroll down to identify. When you hit this, the lights on the transmitter flash so you know which microphone is which. We'll hit that again and then jump up and turn off LED. And that mutes or turns off the LED if you want this to be more discreet. I've disconnected the second lav, and we'll dive into the settings for the lav that I'm actually using, and we'll go into audio effects. Currently, this is set to flat mode. Let's just go through the presets. Now I have switched over to the speech preset. This is the speech preset. Now I am on the singing preset. This is the singing preset. And now I am back on the flat preset, but the high pass filter is on. So let's go ahead and shut that off. That's the flat preset. Now I've placed the transmitter on my chest to really accentuate the lower frequencies, and the high pass filter is currently turned off. When I engage that, we have a 75 Hz option, and that is how that sounds. And then if we go one more time, we have 150 Hz, and that is the second option that we have, and that's how it sounds. And now we are back on the neutral mode with no high pass filter turned on. The lav is back on the bill of my cap, and we're still in neutral mode, but now let's see how the compressor sounds. Currently, this is how it sounds without any compression. Now I have engaged light compression. This is how the light compression on the MoveMic sounds with the flat EQ setting. Jumping up, now we are at medium compression. This should sound quite a bit more compressed, but here is how it's sounding with medium compression. And we have one more option, which is heavy compression. This is how it sounds with heavy compression with the flat EQ. Let's go ahead and shut off the compressor, and we'll go down to the equalizer. Here you have 5 bands available. You have 100 Hz, 250 Hz, 1 kHz, 4 kHz, and 10 kHz. I'll just keep talking and play around with this. You can go -8 decibels or up to +6 decibels. We'll set the 100 Hz back to 0. We'll go up to 10 kHz and boost that 4 dB. At 4 kHz, we'll boost that 4 dB. At 1 kHz, 2 dB. At 250, we'll pull that down. I don't even know what I'm doing, but this is incredibly powerful, having the ability to EQ the microphone on the transmitter and just burn that in and get the sound that you want immediately. This probably sounds terrible, so let's go ahead and X out of that. We'll scroll up to the top, and we will go from flat mode to speech mode. This is this preset, and the last thing we need to test is the noise reduction. The lav is back on my chest, and I don't have any excessive background noise going, and the noise reduction is currently turned off, and here's how it's sounding. But let's go ahead and engage the noise reduction just to see if it has any significant impact on the tone of the recording when there's not a bunch of background noise going. That should be enough of the noise reduction on. Let's shut it off. Here's how it sounds without the noise reduction. And again, here is how it sounds with the noise reduction engaged without a bunch of background noise going on. Now I have some traffic noise playing through my studio monitors, and noise reduction is turned off, but I'll be quiet so you can hear what kind of noise is being picked up by the mic. And then if I engage noise reduction, and then if I start talking, does it have significant artifacting on my voice, or does it mainly remove the background noise? Let's go ahead and turn off noise reduction again. Here's how it sounds without the noise reduction engaged, with the traffic noise going on in the background. And here's how it sounds with noise reduction turned on, with that traffic noise. How does it do rejecting or reducing that excessive traffic noise in the background? And does it really destroy my voice? Those are all the effects that we have available, so let's go ahead and go back. We'll scroll down to output settings. This allows us to adjust what we're monitoring with the headphone output. We can go down to camera, and we have a lot more settings here. We can go ahead and adjust what we're sending to the camera output. If we want channel 1 on the left, channel 2 on the right, or if we just want a mono track with channel 1 and 2 in the center. Going back, we can select the output level if we want -6 dBV line level, or if we want mic level. For my cameras, they have terrible pre, so I will select a line level. I'll go back, and then you can set up a safety track, which allows you to record a lower level duplicate track as a backup. You can set this at -3 dB, -6 dB, or -12 dB. That is it for the camera output, and then we have USB output, and this allows you to select if you want left and right, or if you just want that mono mix down of channel 1 and 2. That is it for the output settings. Next we have the monitoring settings, and this allows you to adjust the headphone volume for the 3.5mm output, and then it allows you to create a mix between the microphones that you're monitoring, and if this is connected over USB, it allows you to adjust how much of the USB playback you're hearing through the headphones as well. That is it for the monitoring section. Then we have display settings, and this allows you to turn on the LED on the top and also adjust the brightness of the screen. That's it for display settings. Then you can factory reset this device. I'm not going to do that. Then you have the About page, which gives you firmware information, all kinds of information about the device. I'm not going to show you the serials of the devices and all of that. And lastly, you have high power on or off. If you use high power, that just extends the range of the microphones. And those are all of the settings that you have on the MoveMic receiver. That's pretty much it. Now the MoveMic's connected to my phone via Bluetooth, and what we're looking at is the Motiv app. First thing you see is a meter showing you what kind of level you're getting out of your Lav. It shows you the connection strength. It shows you the battery life of the device. You can change the name of this device. You can lock your settings. You can turn on or off the LEDs. You can turn on or off high power. You can mute or unmute. Let's go ahead and try that. Talking. Now it's unmuted. Now it is unmuted. Very cool. You can adjust your gain from 0 dB all the way up to 60 decibels. I'll go ahead and whisper as I increase this because I'm sure we're going to clip here. So there is a lot of gain available. Then you have your presets, the flat, the speech, and the singing mode, and all of your processing that's available. I want to point out, if you are recording, you cannot make any adjustments to the processing. You cannot change presets. All of that is locked while you're recording, which is kind of a bummer. But what you have is the flat mode, you have a speech mode, you have a singing mode, you can engage or disengage the noise reduction, you have the ability to turn on the compressor from off to light to medium to heavy, you have a high pass filter which is 75 Hz or 150 Hz. And then you have your equalizer, which is 5 bands, and it allows you to boost by up to 6 decibels or cut by up to 8 decibels at 100, 250, 1 kilohertz, 4 kilohertz, or 10 kilohertz. And those are pretty much all the settings for the MoveMic on the Shure Motiv app. I know this is going to sound corny, but I have been on a journey of Lav Mic discovery over the last couple of years, and I'm not embarrassed to admit that I never really understood them, but once I got this kit and started using it for a couple of weeks, it finally clicked. When you use a Lav mic, you may be sacrificing a little bit in the sound quality department, but what you're gaining is a bit of freedom and an insane amount of convenience. And first up, let's talk about the pros of the MoveMic, and number one for me is the size and weight of this thing. When we compare it to the other fully wireless Lav systems that I have, the transmitter is tiny and it is incredibly light. That just makes it a lot more enjoyable and a lot more discreet to use. I also found that the transmitter has excellent battery life. I was able to use it for 8 hours straight in voice calls and it didn't die on me, so I have no doubt the 8 to 11 hours that they quote in their manual is accurate. Additionally, I'm a simple man, and when a microphone has a mute button, I rejoice. I love that they included that because it makes using this in voice calls so incredibly convenient. I also think they added really nice processing features in the Motiv app as well as on the receiver. I'm using medium compression with a little bit of EQ. And lastly, I like that you can use this with the receiver and then use Bluetooth if you need to. Just a couple of FYIs here. I did confirm with Shure that when you're using the MoveMic over Bluetooth, the bit depth is limited to 16-bit. And secondly, there is always a limiter engaged on the MoveMic to prevent excessive clipping. You can really hear it when you clap sync. But what if I'm a monster who gets right on top of the microphone and does not adjust my gain accordingly? How does it sound here? But then we get to the cons of the MoveMic system, and we'll start with the most obvious. Number one is the lack of a 3.5mm input on the transmitter. That means you cannot use any external lavs with this system. You are stuck with the built-in microphone. Number two is the lack of recording on the transmitter. I know that's something a lot of people rely on because when you record in really busy areas, there can be interference. This lacks that functionality, and for some people, that is going to be a deal breaker. I also noticed that when I recorded using the Bluetooth connection, the sound quality seemed ever so slightly lower, so if I'm using this, I would rely first on the receiver and only use the Bluetooth if the receiver dies and you have no other option. And the last con for me is the headphone output on the receiver. I found it to be quite noisy regardless of the headphones that I used. I tried Apple earbuds, I tried Shure IEMs, I tried Rode NTH100s, and I tried HD 650s. With all of them, there was underlying hiss, so I don't think you can use the headphone output for any kind of critical listening. And now, what are my overall thoughts and opinions of the Shure MoveMic? As far as the overall sound quality, I would say it's not quite as bright as the other lavs that we compared it against. It may come across a little bit lower detail, but I found the sound to be overall much smoother and pleasing and easy to listen to. And then as far as the function of the MoveMic system, I have had zero issues over the last couple of weeks of use, and I do record in quite a Wi-Fi congested area. Then as far as the processing, I found that the EQ was really effective and easy to dial in. I thought the compressor sounded nice. The high pass filter was pretty good, but I would love to see a 50 Hz option. And then as far as the noise reduction, it's really effective at rejecting or reducing consistent background noise, but when it comes around to inconsistent background noise like a clicky keyboard, it really didn't do much there. And to wrap up, would I recommend the Shure MoveMic? Kind of. It's undeniable that $500 is a lot of money, so before investing in a system like this, I really think you need to understand your use cases and needs to determine if this is the right system for you. If you need on-transmitter recording, this is clearly not going to be for you, and you'll need to go with something like the Rode system or the DJI system. If you need to run an external 3.5mm microphone into your transmitter, again, this is clearly not going to be for you. You're going to need to go with something like the Deity, the Rode, the DJI, or dozens of others, I'm sure. So who do I think the MoveMic system is for? If you're somebody who is looking for that fully wireless Lav system that has a small and discreet transmitter with a long battery life, with a mute button, with a built-in microphone that is smooth, easy to listen to, and yes, a bit less detailed than the competition, that also offers real-time processing like EQ, noise reduction, and compression via the receiver or via Bluetooth over the phone, if that is you, I think you're really going to like this thing, although I would be hesitant to buy this system if I was planning on using the microphones primarily over Bluetooth. I say that because I found the sound quality of Bluetooth to be slightly lower than the sound quality of the receiver, so if you like the sound of the microphone and the functionality of this kit, I would recommend buying the receiver kit and then using it that way and only using Bluetooth as a backup in case you're out in the field, the receiver dies, and you still have a charge on your microphones and you need to record. That's all that I've got for you today. I know I didn't have a distance test in this review, so I'm going to recommend you check out Curtis Judd's coverage of this mic because he includes that, and he is just insanely knowledgeable about wireless systems and lavs, so I'll link that in the corner as well as the description. If you found this video fun, interesting, or helpful, thumbs up. Hated it, big ol' thumbs down. Huge thank you to Shure for loaning this microphone in, and a huge thank you to the financial supporters of this channel. Their support allows me to produce this content, so thank you to them, and thank you to you for coming by, watching, and listening. I appreciate you. I love you. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Whoa, whoa, boop.